What is going on, everyone? It's Austin here from Applicate, and I wanted to make this brief video for you to talk about how to build out your very first skid sprayer. And you can see this is a new skid sprayer that we got. Actually, ironically, we got it just as we hit 500 subscribers. And if you've never built a skid sprayer, I never built a skid sprayer until this one, or had one built out for me. But there's a lot of different options that you can choose from. And so I just kind of want to walk you through what options, things to think about. Maybe you're in the lawn care industry and you want to buy a skid sprayer to do lawn applications. Maybe you're in the pest control industry and you're thinking about buying a skid sprayer because it'll increase your capacity of how many jobs you can get done. Maybe you're like me and you do plant health care applications and mosquito control applications, and a skid sprayer like this might be really beneficial to you. So I'm going to turn the camera around. Let's talk about the skid sprayer, the options that I chose, and some other things that you might need to think about. Okay, so let's begin with tank size, okay? This is a 100-gallon, 110-gallon, I think is what they called it, low-profile tank. And the reason why I wanted it low profile is I still wanted visibility in the trucks, and I could afford the space to have it be longer or longer, so to say. So this fit our needs. Basically, we had to purchase this skid sprayer for a mosquito control application. I'll show a map of the job that we had to do. Basically, it's a 3.5 mile trail system that we have to treat. So it requires a huge amount of water. Some other options that you might want to think about is pump size and engine size. Now, these two things in combination, plus how big your hose is going to depend on the volume of water that comes out. Basically, you need the right engine matched with the right pump, matched with the right size hose to get the proper volume. If you're doing really tall tree applications, you're probably going to want to go with a 1/2-inch hose, a bigger engine, and a bigger pump, because you're going to need the volume of water to get it up 60, 75 feet. I will say that this D30 pump and this I think it's a GX 160 Honda engine with a 3/8 ID hose. It will reach 45 feet vertically. And when I sprayed horizontally with this, it would reach about 54 feet. So this is plenty for us. We're not doing any super tall tree applications. But some other options to think about. You can also upgrade your engine to where it's an electric key start. We didn't. We have a pull start. Honda engines are pretty, notorious for working and running very, very well. We might have to swap out a recoil or a pull cord string here and there, but there are options where you can just turn a key, it turns on. It does require a battery. You see we have one there. I'll explain what that's for in a minute. But that's an option, right? And then you have a pull cord as a failsafe. So maybe the battery runs dead, or maybe you want to preserve some battery for an electric reel, like what this is. And yeah, you got some options, right? So let's talk about the hose and the hose reel. So originally when I was pricing this out, I was going to get a 150-foot hose, and I was going to get a wind-up crank reel, which the crank would go on this side right here. And as you can see, there's not much room in this truck for this. So what I ended up doing is I said, hey, how much to add 300 feet? And basically they said, oh, we can do that, no problem. No extra charge. So I said, do it, right? Why? I should have been sent 300 feet to begin with if it was no extra charge. And then I said, wait a minute, 300 feet cranking it up, that's going to take forever. How much for an electric reel? And it was like I think like a $300 add-on. But realistically, if you're thinking man-hour rates and time and how long it's going to take you, that $300 is nothing to save you time. Even if it saves you 10 minutes each time you're reeling up 300 feet very quickly, that's going to save you money in the long run. So my recommendation is, if you're going to build out a skid, an electric hose reel you have to have it. If you don't have it, you're probably going to waste time. Now, I understand that there's budgets that come into this, but what's the phrase that they always say? Buy once, cry once. Cry once over having an electric reel and realize that it was probably the best decision that you ever made, okay? As far as pricing out a skid sprayer, right? We also had a battery kit that came with this. You see the battery? it was not installed from the factory that built it. They said they couldn't find a space for it. And I found that to be a little bit funny because I found a space for it, but not in the battery box. So I might have to, install that myself, is what it is. Another option that we didn't get, but I will be upgrading in the future, are guide rails. So this hose, they make these little guide rails, and basically they have a top bar, a bottom bar, and then 2 side bars, and they spin and rotate. They're on bearings. And that helps you when you're dragging the hose in awkward directions. It stays fluid. It doesn't get caught on corners, or, if I'm dragging it this way, it doesn't get caught on the truck bed. So that helps you in that aspect. Now, again, that's like a $200 to $300 upgrade. I said, let me make this thing cash flow positive. I'll purchase that, throw it on myself. No big deal. But definitely, if you're looking at buying a skid sprayer, talk to the guys at whatever place you're going to have them build it, unless you build it yourself. But I didn't. I purchased this from Sprayer Depot. They're down in Florida. They make King sprayers. I've had experience with King sprayers in the past, back when I worked in the commercial nursery, and they built phenomenal sprayers. I mean, we used it to spray trees and shrubs, and it was an awesome sprayer. So I knew I was buying quality. Now, this is actually, like I said, my first skid. And I purchased this to make, to treat a 3.5 mile trail system for a client of mine. And this also goes into how to build a sprayer, because if you'll notice, my hose reel, it's aiming straight out of the truck bed that way. Why? Right? Most sprayers and most companies have their sprayers mounted to where they're going to come out and they're aiming curbside. Because the thing is you pull up to a house, you're on the street, you open up a hatch or a door, and you pull the hose out curbside, and it's straight along that way. So the orientation of your hose reel is also something to consider. Why I chose to have it come straight out in the bed of my truck is because we're treating a trail system. So I would pull it out 300 feet straight down this trail. I'd do my application across that 300 feet, and then I'd go 300 feet this way. Then I'd pull it back, and then I'd use the electric reel to wind it up. And it made more sense for me in my application to do it that way. Now, if I was a lawn care company, or even, mainly a tree and shrub company, I would probably orient this curbside. It just makes more sense for the applicator, right? This gets mounted this way, and then also the electric reel button gets over there. And it's safer for the applicator, right? Because over here, if you're gonna pull the hose from this, direction, okay, you're not in the street like I would be with this one, and you're right in the area of where you're gonna make the application. So something to think about, right? But skid sprayers, they are not cheap, but they do pay for themselves very, very quickly. They can also increase efficiencies and increase capacity based on the water that you have in that tank. There are some downfalls to them. If you're mixing your chemicals in your tanks, what if a spill occurs? Okay, now you're not just, having a nurse tank of water and a backpack sprayer or something like that. Now you have a giant chemical spill that can happen. So you have to be prepared for that. Always have your spill kits on the truck. So I just want to talk about kind of my experience with purchasing my first skid sprayer, and hopefully it helps you in determining what you guys want. Again, don't skimp out. Get the electric reel. It will save you hours and hours and hours of time. Okay? It's my biggest recommendation, biggest takeaway. So without further ado, take care, God bless, and go get them.